Hi folks, DJ Tina, host of HMTV Canada E-Zine, has a special guest on the phone with me today. Is Canadian rock icon, the one and only Kim Mitchell. Hi Kim, congratulations on your new solo album, Ain't Life Amazing. I have an inkling that this is going to make gold or platinum soon.
You're dreaming. Records just don't. I mean, that would be nice, but actually, the reality of the whole thing is there used to be 100 bands selling 1 million albums. Now there's 1 million bands selling 100 records. So, but I didn't. You know what? It wasn't about. It's funny. This probably won't go gold or won't go platinum, but I couldn't be more proud of a project in my life. So. You know, of all my whole recording career, of all the albums I've recorded, I have little specific spots. You know, I'll go, oh, that song, I kind of dig that. I'm proud of that one. I'm proud of that. This whole record, top to bottom, I'm proud of.
I admit, I listened to the first track, Ain't Life Amazing, and I bought the album immediately.
Oh, wow.
I grew up listening to Kim Mitchell. I grew up with Max Webster. I've been a Kim Mitchell fan all my life.
Well, here you go. You can't grow up and listen to Kim Mitchell. You can't do both. So, actually, that was one of my favorite quotes by an old country guitar player, Chet Atkin. He was a country guy, and a kid went up to him and goes, when I grow up, I want to play just like you. And he said, son, you can't do both. And I always just love that line. So.
That's a good line.
Yeah.
One of my favorite songs was Patio Lanterns.
Yep.
That had a big impact on my teenage years.
Really?
Yes, it did. That's when the year I met my first and got married, and we danced a lot under to Patio Lanterns, that song.
Wow. Well, that's a compliment. I've always been, you know, I've always been humbled by all that when people say just what you've said about a song. In my recording career or a record that I had out, I just, you know, it's a humbling experience to have somebody have a little piece of your music in their life, like it's just part of the fabric. So when they hear that tune, you know, there's lots of tunes that go by on the radio. They don't remind us of anything. We just sort of turn them up or turn them down, or they don't mean anything. But when you hear a tune, you go, God, that reminds me of when I got married, or that reminds me of my first husband, or that reminds me of this. I mean, that's pretty humbling experience to have that, to hear people tell me that. So.
That's true. We used to play it at bush parties, backyard parties, pool parties, and we still, like, when we have our pool parties, we still tune into that song.
And did everybody turn out okay, or what?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Someone listened to my music early on didn't, you know. So.
Can you tell us what motivated or inspired you to make a comeback into the music scene after 8 years?
Yep, sure. What was happening was I wasn't selling any more records, and making a record is just a pain in the rear end. I mean, writing a record, recording it, all the challenges. I mean, it's a nice journey. It's a wonderful journey doing it. But there's also just a huge effort. It's just a huge undertaking and many sleepless nights. It just goes on and on and on. So I thought, what's the point? When I play live, people show up. My live career is going great. Life's good. So there's no point in even doing this. There's no point in even writing. And then that just switched one day. After 8 years, I went, you know what? Part of what I am as a musician is a songwriter, and I just miss writing music. So I just started to write music with absolutely no intention whatsoever of recording. This wasn't to make an album, it wasn't to do anything, it was just to satisfy my creative needs, which was just to write music. And then I have a couple guys in the music business who I really respect. One of them is Joe Hardy and Greg, well, the two guys are Joe Hardy and Greg Morrow. They're down in the States. Joe Hardy has produced ZZ Top and people like that, and he's in Houston, and then Greg Morrow's a drummer that he's just on every record. He's one of those studio musicians. He's in Nashville, and I just sent them some of the tunes and went, I just want your feedback, guys. And went, of course, they have a southern accent, so my name has 2 syllables all of a sudden. Kim, Kim, we have to record this stuff. So that's, they wanted to record it. And I'm like, I can't afford you guys. You know, you're just too expensive. Greg Moore was one of the most in-demand studio drummers down in Nashville, and Joe Hardy, he's just way too busy. But we found a way to do it. and so
That's awesome.
started to record the record.
Are you currently working on any videos at the moment?
Nah, videos are all done for me. I'm just too ugly now, so.
Hey, you can always teach a dog new tricks.
No, I'm all done with the video thing, you know.
Any tours planned for 2008 to promote Ain't Life Amazing?
Oh, I've been sure. Yeah, I have a whole summer book. I'll be out there rocking and rolling from east to west.
We're definitely going to attend.
Okay, what's that?
We're definitely going to attend the concert. We're definitely looking forward to that this summer.
Yeah, same here. It'd be a good time for sure.
What do you miss about producing music when you're away from the music scene?
What did I miss the most about it?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really miss anything. When I decided not to do this anymore, there was nothing to miss, as I just said a couple minutes ago. Playing live was great. Music was all around me, so I didn't really miss anything until, like I say, that one day that the switch kind of flipped, and I went, God, I miss writing. I just miss sitting down writing. And when I started to write, I thought, why don't I just try to write a few tunes just for my own, shits and giggles? And I did, and then the floodgates opened up, and I wrote 2 records worth of stuff.
What do you express mainly in your lyrics?
Lyrics. I just think lyrics. You're kind of just jamming with the English language. What I don't go for so much in lyrics are stories. So, I don't really care about stories. I like to build imagery, in the song, in the Stars Tonight on my record. There's a great image that opens up that tune, and it's a good example. It kind of might sound like a story, but it's not. We met on a rainy night at the Cucumber Soap Cafe. In a way, you get this image of this hippy-dippy cafe, right?
Yeah.
Because who'd call themselves the Cucumber Soap Cafe? It's a very hippy-dippy term from the late '60s. So I just go on to describe this hippie, and it's stuff like that. I just I think lyrics should just do the imagery thing, as opposed to tell stories.
Do you write about everyday life or any social issues?
Oh, I work with people. I like working with professional lyric writers, so I work with them and edit with them. And I worked with a couple guys on this record, and a girl actually, the hippie I was just speaking about. She wrote one of the tunes on the record. Craig Baxter mainly wrote a ton of the lyrics. So I have to connect with them and have it feel like it was my pen writing them before I can commit them to a song, that's for sure. So there's a lot of working and editing, lyricists will send you stuff, and then you cherry pick a line here and there, and then it changes. And it's just a big process. As I say, it's a pain in the butt, but it's also a fun journey. Once this record was done, once Ain't Life Amazing was done, I felt like I took it out back and shot it. I mean, it's once a project's done, the fun's over, right?
That was bringing me to my next question. Why do you think that when the album's out and people are still listening?
Well, my point is, to anyone who builds something or makes something, all the fun is in making it and building it. That's where you learn. That's where the challenges are. That's where, you're hanging out with musicians, and we're rocking and rolling. We're going for beers after, talking about crappy guitar solo that I just did, or what. It's just a big, long process. Once it's done, everybody sort of washes their hands, takes a pee, and goes home. And the fun's over. So and once it's out, to have people dig it, but there's nothing I can do to change anything about the record. My work in it is done.
Before you started your project, did you find it hard to find the right producers and musicians to work with Ain't Life Amazing?
No, not at all, because the guys I contacted, Joe Hardy and Greg Morrow, they're the guys who played on it. So Joe Hardy played bass and produced it and mixed it. Greg Morrow played drums on it. So I got a couple American guys on it. A couple Southern boys are playing on the record. Can you tell? No.
No, you can't.
No, you can't. They're just really good musicians. It's funny to think that Greg Morrow, the drummer, is in 1 hour playing on a country record by some famous person, like Faith Hill or whatever, and then next minute he's rocking the tune Ain't Life Amazing with me. It's just kind of funny.
How is Ain't Life Amazing produced over the internet? I'm curious.
How is it produced over the internet? Well, okay, here's how it was done. I mean, we did get together and discuss the tunes and did a little bit of playing. But here's how it's done. You just upload files and download files. Basically, the drummer, once we decided what everybody was going to play, he cut the tracks down in Nashville, the drum track, to my demo. And so he played to them, and then he uploads that stuff onto the internet, which is, takes hours because we're using full 24-bit files, AIF files. This isn't crappy MP3 files, which everybody listens to music on these days. They were full AIF files, so it'd take like a whole afternoon to upload drum tracks. They'd arrive at my computer, and I just open them up and blast my guitar on it and then send it down to Nashville. That's just how it happened. So that's how it was recorded, just uploading and downloading files.
Were there any challenges in recording, mastering your latest CD?
No, there was none. Well, there's challenges in recording. There's, like I say, recording and everything, that's a big pain in the butt. There's, the challenges are playing well. The challenges are playing passionately. The challenges are, here's this song. What does this song need? What do you want to do with this? This song that, it's gonna have fun, but still be passionate and move people and transcend. I mean, music is just there to move us and transcend us. So as goofy as that sounds, perhaps, that's what we tried to do.
How does your current album differ from your previous solo albums?
This one is way more passionately played. I think the songwriting is just, I'm really proud. I don't know, I'm just really proud of it. You know what? It's kind of hard for anyone to look in the mirror and go, what's different about you since last time you looked in the mirror? So, it's when I get asked that question, I like to just go, that's up to you to decide. It's up to people who listen to my music to decide what's changed, what's different. I can say that the people who bought Ain't Life Amazing, I haven't had one person go, man, your records suck. They're all going, holy smokes, I didn't know you had this in you. After recording for so long, after being in the music business so long, this is just fantastic work. Your guitar playing is better than I've ever heard it. The songwriting's great. It's an interesting album that has depth. So I think those are some of the differences that I'm just telling you that I've heard. So
I know one thing for sure. The voice and the guitars just blew me away when I first listened to it. It's way better than ever before.
Oh, thank you very much. That's a nice compliment. So I'll use that one too.
Do you think most bands are producing their music this way nowadays?
No, I don't think everybody is. I think when bands can have a big budget, if they have a $100 to $200, $300,000 budget to record a record, they get together in a studio and they all play. But there's with the internet, it's the World Wide Web. The world is open to you, so it's not a problem to go, hey, you know what? I really dig this drummer in Los Angeles, or lots of musicians are set up with little studios now that you can hire them. Like you can go to some Los Angeles guitar player and go, I want a solo on this, and he'll go, yeah, okay, it'll be $1,000, and I'll give you 3, and I'll upload them later this afternoon. I mean, a lot of stuff is done like that, so. I think it's okay. It's okay. I think it all works. Though comes with a few new challenges, and that's the challenges of making it sound spontaneous. And how I got around that was once I'd open up the drum tracks up here, I'd just go bang. I just slam the guitar on and take it in 1 or 2 takes and move on.
That's awesome.
As opposed to, in internet, you can, on, Pro Tools and the way digital recording is now, you can cut and paste. You don't even have to sing in tune. God. There's all kinds of programs that correct your tuning, correct this, fix that. I try to stay away from all that shit.
Do you really?
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't want to. If there's a wrong note, kind of a weird noise on the guitar, leave it. It's there for a reason.
Mm-hmm. Sounds a little bit original.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever produced any compilation soundtracks for the movie industry?
No. It's something that I'd like to get into, but having said that, there's a really close, tight circle of people that do that, and it's a hard thing to get into, and you need an agent to find you work, unless some movie company comes along and goes, I want you to do this. No one's done it yet.
There's a lot of bands now going back to vinyl, and one of the fans that wants to remain anonymous, she asked, will the fans ever see heritage songs of Max Webster and Kim Mitchell's solo albums being produced in vinyl in the future?
Well, I think all my early records are on vinyl. I mean, that's the way they were done, so you can still find vinyl. As far as producing vinyl on Ain't Life Amazing, the drummer in Nashville, he's a huge vinyl freak and wants to press a few hundred vinyl pieces. So I also have a few vinyl pieces for sale at my gig from a compilation of early Max Webster material. It was pressed in Sweden. When we went over to play this festival over there, they pressed a bunch of vinyl, and I bought the whole bunch, and so I sell it at my gigs.
I'll have to tell her to go to more of your concerts.
Yeah.
For sure. Who were your musical influences when you first started playing in bands back in the day?
Well, I was always a fan of the really different stuff. I was the freak in the crowd. I was always the guy who people would, kind of go, huh? And they wouldn't want to hang around with me, people that nobody's heard of, Captain Beefheart, know, I loved Captain Beefheart. I had all his records. Weird people, Frank Zappa. In the more traditional role, you know, Hendrix really changed the world of guitar playing, Jimi Hendrix. So that stuff influenced me. I like musicians who have the stamp on them that this is them. No one else sounds and plays like them. This is their music. No one else sounds like it. So they own their own piece of musical real estate, and those were the people that influenced me. And that crosses all genres, you know. There were jazz musicians I'd listen to. There were, you know, there's good music and there's bad music in all genres. Someone can't sit there. I defy someone to sit there and go that loves music and is a fan of rock, like say they're a hip hop fan. I defy them to go, jazz sucks. Well, if you're that passionate about music, you realize that there's good music in all genres. You know, you just haven't been exposed to it or don't get it or something. So, and I do. I'm one of those guys that goes, wow, that classical piece is freaking incredible. Wow, I went to the ballet and it was incredible. And you know, I've heard jazz musicians, I've heard country pickers. Jerry Douglas is an incredible dobro player with Alison Krauss. You know, he's just a freak on the dobro guitar, and yet doesn't love rock and roll and classic rock and all kinds of shit. So there's good and bad.
Do you have new musical influences today?
If you're talking about current music, the guys who are out now don't really influence me. I think, you know, it's just nice to see people who are still on fire. You know, bands like Billy Talent that come out and just have that serious raw energy with great songwriting talent. Is that kind of what you're asking me?
Yeah, like who do you most admire in the music industry today?
You know, there's Nickelback, the band that everybody loves to hate. They do what they do great, but I wouldn't want to do it. And I wouldn't, you know, they're using every computer program available to pitch correct. It just sounds too processed and perfect to me. A lot of the new rock today, to me, sounds like the Backstreet Boys with distorted guitars. And so when somebody like Billy Talent comes along that has sort of this raw talent, you know, they're just raw. And I'm just using them as one example. There's a ton of those bands. I mean, as I say, there's a million bands selling 100 records now. I just love that kind of thing. That still raw energy gets me off as an old dude, you know.
Well, you're not really old.
Well, you know, and the Trews. I like the Trews because they're, you know, they have this sort of their music, as much as it sounds new, is kind of rooted in old Led Zeppelin riffs, you know. And there's all kinds of shit like that going on that I dig. So this stuff doesn't influence me as much. I'll listen to it and to go, oh, I like these guys. This is great, or you know, what they're doing is kind of cool. But as far as being influenced by it, I suppose somewhat. With a band like Nickelback, I might be more influenced as to what not to do. I'm going to make sure I turn that auto-tune off. I'm going to make sure I turn groove correction off. And you know, it's just sort of stuff like that, because I don't want to sound that processed. My album is anti-process.
When I was growing up as a kid, my sister and her pop music I couldn't stand listening to, but my brother Randy Gordon Joe, when they turned on BTO or Led Zeppelin, I loved listening to that. And Frank Zappa just used to make me laugh.
Yeah, Frank Zappa did make a lot of people laugh. He would make me laugh also, although I really admired his compositional skills. I mean, he was an incredible classical composer too.
Yes.
He knew so much about music theory and harmony, and to be in Frank Zappa's band, you had to just be able to play like a mother. So he was a pun, mothers of invention. But and I think the reason why, I have a radio show downtown Toronto every day, and kids come to the window that are like 17, 18 years old, and they have Pink Floyd records on vinyl, and they have Rush 2112, and they have these Led Zeppelin 4. And I think that the draw and the attraction to that stuff is not only it was the first time around, but it was raw, earthy, or organic. There's feel, it moves, Digital Satan had not arrived yet into the music business. And that's kind of, you know, it's kind of heavy that when Digital Satan arrived, you know, computers and things could be recorded like that, along came all these programs that could correct your imperfections. And people really got into doing that. They wanted their music perfect. And you know what? Rock and roll is supposed to be an imperfect art form.
What's your opinion of the music industry today, and what would you like to see change?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is there's a whole generation that's grown up now listening to MP3s and downloading music. And I hate to tell you and hate to you know, rain on your parade, but what you're listening to sounds kind of like crap. I'm not saying you, I'm just saying someone who's listening. MP3s are okay for iPods and little headphones, but I'm an audiophile, and CDs sound way better because they're at least 16-bit. I wish they're 24-bit, but they're 16-bit. And I think if you're going to keep downloading stuff, all these other sites, you have to upload you just have to, there has to be better files. MP3 files are fine for if you just want to, go to the gym and work out with your iPod. But you want to sit down and listen to music really loud. I have a good stereo system at home, and when I want to open up and turn it up, MP3s just start to sound like poo. And whereas if I put on the same music on CD, it opens right up and it sounds fantastic. So it's just kind of funny that my generation, when we had record players, we were out trying to get a better cartridge and better speakers, and now it's just kind of like, I got MP3. It's just kind of the experience of being able to download it is kind of fun and groovy. But honestly, it's not sounding that great.
A lot of bands are saying that the stuff when it gets into iPods and is downloaded into MP3 players, that the compression is distorting the sound or destroying it.
Well, you've sort of hit a nail on the head. The word is compression. What basically they're doing is as a band masters a record. I'll try and make this so that everyone understands that when a band mixes a song and masters it, it's sitting in this. Let's say for analogy's sake, it's in this big beach ball. Okay, that's it. And then when it goes to an MP3, it's like it gets compressed into a little baseball. Okay, like everything just pushes in, it gets compressed because they have to send that through the internet. And the smaller that is, the quicker it downloads and uploads. And what I'm saying is, I think they should let the whole thing open up because it just sounds better. So that's kind of the analogy I'm getting at. And I think sites like iTunes and stuff, they're starting to have iTunes Plus, and they're starting to get hip to the fact that audio files just aren't coming here. They're going, they're just going back to CDs. So if I have any advice, if you really, really want good sound, spend the extra dough and go to Amazon or something, buy a CD.
Okay, yeah, I have a couple of fans who left their names and their questions. Cindy Watson of Cambridge, Ontario asked, does Kim Mitchell have any spiritual influences in his music?
Spiritual influences?
Yes.
Well, we're all spiritual human beings. Is it a girl who asked that question?
It was a girl.
Okay, yeah, if she's talking about church and God and all that stuff, no, there's no influences. But, yeah, I'm a spiritual person. Music is a spiritual experience. It's reaching way deep inside and, pulling out all this, all this stuff, this input that goes in us in our lives. It gets churned around, comes out in output. God, music wouldn't do anything if it wasn't spiritual. So, it has to have spirit in it, whatever that is, because that's the stuff that's the mojo that moves us, right?
Right.
Okay.
Randy Wilson of Thundermug asked, will Kim or has Kim Mitchell ever got together with original band members of Max Webster for a reunion or concert tour?
No, I'm not going to be doing that anymore. Did you say from Thundermug?
Yes.
Yeah, I loved that band. That was Eddie Pranskus and Bill Durst. I remember that band from London, Ontario. They were just a plowing rock band. I'm telling you, just as a matter of fact, on my station Q107, once in a while I play them.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Thank you, Kim Mitchell, for taking the time for allowing our E-Side to interview you.
With you, and you have yourself a great day.
You too.
Okay, bye.
Bye.